Hey everybody, Joseph here, welcoming you to another StuKent Expert Session. Today we have the pleasure of hearing from none other than Van Oaks. Van is the owner of the world's greatest mustache and a rockstar performance marketer, in that order. He's the owner of 5 businesses doing 6, 7, and even 8 figures a year. The owner of EGM Agency, a multi-brand owner, and CMO of multiple companies, Van has his hands in pretty much every facet of e-commerce. If you ever watch the Discovery Channel, you've most likely seen his work. Van is the CMO of Diesel Power Gear, an online e-commerce store featured on the hit TV show Diesel Brothers. Diesel Power Gear has built an 8-figure empire using social media influencers centered around diesel truck enthusiasts. Van was also awarded the Snapchat Snapstar Award in 2019 for his work on their platform. We are so excited to hear from you today, Van. Take it away.
What's up, guys? My name is Van Oaks. I am the CMO of Diesel Power Gear, co-owner of Legion Tires. I have an agency called Explosive Growth Marketing, where we kind of specialize in running giveaways, running traffic paid media for giveaway companies, kind of heavily on Facebook and Snapchat side, but we do email and SMS and all that as well. So a little bit about me, a little bit about my background. I don't want to bore you and waste your time, waste the time that we have together on myself, but I live in Utah. I come from a door-to-door sales background. Obviously, I live in Utah. A lot of people do that here. I did 12 years of it. I loved every second of it. I probably wouldn't have changed anything about it, to be honest, if it weren't for having kids, and it was tough to move because I was moving out of state to do the door-to-door. I probably would have stayed doing it for a long time because the money was great. But when you have a couple kids, it's hard to move them back and forth between. So I decided that I was going to stop selling door-to-door and I was going to start selling online so that I could be home. I saw a big change in the way consumers were buying. Instead of going to Best Buy and instead of going to Walmart, they were hopping on Amazon and they were purchasing things on their phone. So I decided that I was going to learn to sell stuff instead of in person, online. So I started probably 6 years ago. I started selling trials and selling supplements. I built my own pages, built my own product. And then I learned to run traffic to those products. And then after I had learned to do that, I was approached by the Diesel Brothers to run all their paid media. So I came up here and we took them in the first year. We took them from 6 million to 12 million. And then from there on out, now we're on pace to do 30 million this year. So it's been kind of a wild ride. We've learned a lot along the ways. Facebook has changed dramatically. Paid media in general has changed dramatically in the last little while. So we're adjusting as time goes on. But I've been asked to talk a little bit about influencer marketing and basically our giveaway model. And we do that primarily through Facebook, but also through Snapchat too. But I have a training and education company as well, called Heavy Academy that I'm a co-owner in. And, basically what we do at the Heavy Academy is we train on how to run a business the way that we do. So diesel sellers, they're featured on Discovery Channel, Diesel Brothers. It's like a Monday night, Motor Mondays, one of the top TV shows on Discovery Channel. So these guys have a store and they run a giveaway model where basically every $5 you spend on products in their store gets you entered to win a truck. So I got brought on to run all the paid media for that and then got really good at running giveaways. So at our educational conference, we teach companies how to run full giveaways using influencers and utilizing Facebook, Snapchat, SMS, the whole thing. So this is one of the parts of the trainings that I give at the Heavy Academy to people who come pay to go to the conference. So I'm going to hop in here. I'm assuming at the end, the very last slide has like my personal email and my Instagram handle. It's your boy Van on Instagram. If you have questions, just reach out to me. DM me is probably the quickest on Instagram because I'm most active on there. But if you have questions about anything that I say along the way, please don't hesitate to reach out. So let's hop into this. Talk a lot about Facebook, I do Facebook differently than a lot of people do, and we achieve some really good numbers doing it the way that I go about it. So, first one, a little bit of this might be for some of you who are very experienced in Facebook advertising. These first couple slides are going to be not useful, but for those of you who are looking to get into Facebook as online advertising has gotten more prevalent, a lot of these businesses who are out of work right now because of the COVID have tried to start online and tried to start running Facebook ads themselves, but they don't really even know the beginning of where to start. So Facebook Blueprint is a great place to start. It's free courses from Facebook that'll teach you the ins and outs of how to run ads, but after that, you'll get into more intense stuff like I'm going to talk about today. So the first part of the Facebook Business Manager, I would suggest that you have a couple ad accounts. And the reason being is that I said I have 4 or 5 different ad accounts for Diesel Power Gear because any given day, Facebook could wake up and say you're violating one of their new policies that they came out with that maybe you don't know about yet. And they can shut down your whole ad account, which in turn shuts down your Business Manager and leaves you kind of lifeless in the middle of nowhere, and you can't run ads, you can't do anything, and you can't support your business. So I have a couple different ad accounts set up. I primarily run from one, and we don't really ever have problems because we're very white hat. We're very transparent about what we do, and that we don't violate any Facebook terms. But occasionally you'll wake up and for whatever reason, it's off, and you've got to go through an ad approval, and sometimes it takes up to weeks. So have a backup one just in case. Have a backup form of payment because let's say you're running ads and your credit card declines because you have an American Express on file, and American Express sees 40 charges from Facebook in one day. They're gonna pause the card because they don't know what's going on, and that in turn flags your ad account, and it's gonna affect the performance of your ad account. So then I'll make sure that the Business Manager is connected to both the Facebook and the Instagram pages that we're running from, verify that all the pixels are firing correctly. I bring on a lot of clients to run their paid media, and it would blow your mind how many people they think they have everything set up correctly. And then when you get inside their ad account, their pixels aren't even firing correctly. So they're optimizing for events on their ads that they can't even do correctly because Facebook doesn't have the pixel firing correctly. So upload the catalog. Facebook's gotten really good with dynamic product ads and dynamic creative in general, but dynamic product ads show people ads of what they've looked at on your page. It shows them again. So you have to have a catalog uploaded to do that. So make sure you upload the catalog. On the left-hand side, you can see that all of our pixels are active and functioning. So then I move on to the next step, creating custom audiences. So for those of you that are new, there's a bunch of different ways that you can create them. You can see them here on the left. There's a customer file, which is like your CSV file of all your customers that you pull from Shopify or from wherever. You have website traffic that just uses your pixel on your site to see the actions that people are taking. You have app for people who have access to your app. Offline activity, you have engagement. Engagement are people who like or comment on your pictures on Instagram or on Facebook, and you can create custom audiences that way. So you're going to create all your custom audiences. Now I have a 10-step, I work well with steps. I do even on my whiteboard, I have steps, things that I need to accomplish today, and I like to check things off my list. That's just kind of the way that mine works. So I like to put things in a 10-step process if you could, and that's what I've done with this training. So if you're going to run the giveaway model the way that we do, like I say, we give away for every $5 you spend on apparel or hats or whatever on our website, you get entered to win a big diesel truck. And I'm talking like $100,000 truck. And we give one away every single month. And people are like, how's that? How can you afford to give away $100,000 truck every month? Um, with giveaway model, you'll typically pay off your giveaway prize or whatever in the first 2 or 3 days of your giveaway, and then the rest is profit. So you have to do it a specific way if you want to give. I'll mention how we do it for trucks, but if you wanted to give away a pair of sneakers or something like that, you could do that, and I'll mention it through here, kind of how you could go about it. But number one mistake I see people make is that they price their product too low. If you're going to run this model, you need to have margins in your product for a lot of different things. You have, let's say, for example, this is basically what ours is. We have a $5 product, $5 t-shirt or $10 t-shirt. I allot $5 to the product. I allot $5 to paid traffic coming from whatever source, Facebook, Snapchat. I allot $5 per sale towards the giveaway cost, towards the truck, for example. $5 of every sale is going to go to buy the truck that we're giving away. I throw $5 in roughly for influencer commissions, because you're going to need to. It's vital to what I do to have influencers involved, and they're going to need to be paid in order to push your giveaway. And then an additional promotion towards the end and whatnot, an extra $5. So right out the gate, you're $25 in debt trying to sell a product, right? So if you're one of those guys that get online and try to sell a t-shirt for $10, you're not going to be able to make this model work. You need to sell a premium product. You need to sell a good product, and you need to there's a price you got to pay to enter a giveaway and to be a part of a giveaway company. Our t-shirts are $30. They're not a typical $20 t-shirt, but people love the camaraderie. They love the community behind the diesel power gear, and they're okay paying $30 for a t-shirt as long as they know, they're getting entered to win a truck and whatnot. So I'm $25 in debt, you can see, but I also know that my average order value is $55. So right out the gate, I'm $30 in the green. But then I know with the giveaway model as well, my LTV, my lifetime value of a customer is $125, because they're not going to enter once. They actually enter 2.5 times, almost over twice. They enter the giveaways to try to win again. So I know that if I can acquire a customer for 25 and my lifetime value is 125, that's a $100 profit on every customer, assuming you have the margins correctly put in place. So step one, make sure you have 300% margin in all your product. Step two in establishing your giveaways, you need to know your niche. You need to know, if I tried to my diesel dudes, if I tried to sell them a pair of Gucci shoes or a Gucci belt, they would laugh in my face. You need to know your niche very, very well. What excites them, who they are, what do they do for work? What do they do for hobby? Where do they live? Are they in the southern states, or in the normal? Are they in the US? Are they in Mexico? Where are they at? When do they buy? A lot of our clients only buy every 2 weeks, because that's when they get paid, and that's the only time they have disposable income. So you need to know when they're purchasing, typically on weekends for our clientele. And then most importantly is why they buy. Why do your customers buy from you? Like, do people really buy from me for a t-shirt that says I love diesel trucks? I would say no. I would say no, people don't buy for that. My customers buy for the dream of having a truck that they could probably never afford. They buy because when they wear their diesel shirt out in the public, and somebody notices them with a diesel t-shirt on, it builds a community of support. So they know other people who like diesel trucks, other mechanics will compliment them on their shirt. They're going to find like-minded people. So we've built a great community around diesel-powered trucks. And I know why our people buy our stuff. They buy our stuff to be a part of that community and to get a chance to win their truck. So once you've known what excites your customer, let's say you're a basketball brand and you sell basketball stuff, I would probably run a giveaway for some sneakers, for some high-end Jordans, or some really limited edition Jordans, or anything that way, Nikes that way. And I would run a giveaway with that, because there's something that all these people would probably love to have. If they're basketball fans, they'd love to have these shoes, but they probably wouldn't drop $2,000, $3,000 on a pair of shoes, because that doesn't make sense. And then you need to have a clear start and end date. Legally, you have to have that. You have to have a date that it starts and the date that your giveaway ends. But also psychologically for people, they need to know when something starts, and they also need to know how long until they're going to find out if they won or not. We've learned that a month works best for us. A month to 6 weeks works best for us. Anytime we've ran them 6 months before, and people just lose interest. And then we've ran week-long giveaways before too, and you can't build enough momentum behind it. So we've learned that 4 to 6 weeks typically works best for us. Number 3, you need to set the website up for your giveaway, right? So the biggest problem that people have, I don't think people really understand that the average reading comprehension in the United States is at a 6th grade level, so 11-year-old. So make sure that your website, the landing page that you're going to use for your giveaways, is very simple. Keep it simple. 6th grade reading level, 11-year-old, like every $5 you spend gets you entered to win. It's that easy. Giveaway needs to be front and center. So if they see an ad or they see something somewhere that you're giving away a truck and they click on it and they go to your website and they can't find that, they don't see the truck, the very first thing, or the sneakers that you're giving or whatever you're giving away. If that's not the very first thing they see, they're going to bounce. Your bounce rate's going to be really, really high because there's not congruency between what they've seen in the ads or the advertising to what they're seeing on your homepage. The consistency is crucial with a giveaway. Step 4. So now that you've got your ad account all set up, you're ready to run ads, you've got your website set up, you've got your margins and your product all ready to go, you've got everything ready to rock and roll, you could definitely launch the giveaway, and you would probably do okay prospecting. But finding an influencer is the most important thing to what we do here, because at the end of the day, if you see so many giveaways online. If you went online and just typed in giveaway, there's going to be a billion companies giving away stuff. And when I see that stuff, the first thing I think is that's fake. That's a scam. They're not really getting that stuff. So you win $100,000, win this. I immediately think these people aren't really giving this away. And they're going to think that about your company if they don't know your brand already. If your brand's fairly new, and they don't know who you are. If you're established, maybe you'll be able to get away with it. But if you're new and you're coming out and you're trying to run a giveaway, nobody believes you. Nobody's going to believe your brand, but they will believe an influencer that they trust and that they see every day. If an influencer is going to stand behind your brand, they'll believe what you're saying. I mean, Kanye is the biggest example that I can think of because I do enjoy sneakers. When he left Nike and went and saved Adidas by creating Yeezys. Literally, Adidas was in the red. They were losing money every year, billions of dollars every year, steadily. And Nike was taking that market cap. And then what they went out and did is they went out and signed Kanye West to make a shoe for them. And he left Nike and went to Adidas. And that same year that they paid him $10 million to do that, it cost him $10 million. He increased their revenue by over $2.5 million. So it cost them $1 million, $2.5 million or $1 billion extra that he made their company just because it's attaching a face to a name, somebody who's reputable. So finding an influencer, it's not about followers nowadays. Like that's the biggest mistake I see advertisers making when they're working with an influencer. Like, how many followers do you have? Well, I have 100,000 followers. Well, that's great. If they're all from other countries and none of them engage, none of them see your stuff. If they're all bots, there's a billion different things like to where you cannot be paying influencers now by followers. It just doesn't matter. I have an example in here too that I'll show you. It's about engagement rate. Engagement rate's the most important part. I don't really work with people with less than 1% engagement rate. I prefer to use people with 3 to 6%. If they're really, really big influencer, I'll do the 1 to 3, but anybody over 6% is fantastic. You can find their engagement rate. There's a bunch of different ways to find it. I use clouthq.com because I can see a little bit more of their insights. I just type in their Instagram handle and it'll pull that up for me. So point in finding the influencer, make sure they have good engagement rate, not about the followers, about the engagement rate. Number 5 is set up your influencer deal. You can pay influencers a bunch of different ways. These are 3 of the primary ways that you're going to pay an influencer: pay per post, rev share, ownership. And they kind of go in that order, to be honest. The first time I work with a influencers, I'll pay them to post. I paid Manspot X amount of dollars to make a couple posts for me. He made the post. I paid him for those. I got a couple swipe ups, a couple videos, a couple pictures. I ran and then we used that in our advertising. And once I saw that he had really good engagement rate, then I'll approach them a second time on the second campaign and say, hey, you had really good engagement. It worked really well. I would actually like to set up some sort of a rev share split with you where because you're following, listens to what you say, and they buy whatever you tell them, I'll give you a percentage of whatever they buy of ours. And that rev share split typically sits between 8 to 12%. Depending on the influencer. And then if it's a thing that you do over and over with them and you're constantly giving them a portion, eventually they'll want to become an owner of the company. And it's something that you should look into if they really are that valuable. If their content is that valuable, it's something you might want to give up 1% or 2% of your company in order to influence them. You're going to get way higher quality content when your influencer has skin in the game. Instead of just hitting somebody up and saying, hey, will you make a post for us? They're going to make you shoddy content. And they're just going to want their money from you up front and shoddy content. They're not going to care if it converts on the back end or anything that way because they already got their money. As to where with the rev share split, they're only getting paid if they make the sales. So typically their content is a little bit better. Step number 6. So once you have them rocking and rolling and they've proven that they're people, they got good engagement rate, their people buy off them, and you want to proceed to a rev share split. After my first campaign that I'll run with them, and here later on I'll show you the campaigns. I think it's on 8 and 9. But the first campaign that I ran, they run from their page. They do everything that way, and it got really good engagement. We got a lot of sales from it. Then I'll tell them, and I'll literally explain to them. I won't ask for access to their Facebook page or their Instagram page, but I'll explain that what I do is I buy media on Facebook and Instagram, and that's like really what I do. And I don't ask them I explain how this is going to benefit them first. I usually tell them, listen, sir, I so-and-so influencer, I know how busy you are making content constantly. I know you don't have a lot of time to get in the back end of like how to run ads and whatnot. This is what I do for work. I specialize only in Facebook and Instagram. And what I want to do is I want to take those posts that you've posted, and I actually want to put my credit card behind it, and I want to put my advertising dollars behind it. It's not going to cost you a cent. I'm just going to attach my credit card and pump the numbers a little bit. You'll still get paid. So the more that I pump the number, the more that I run my credit card on it and pay for the ads, the more sales you're going to make. At the end of the day, the more money you're going to make. And I'll do it all. I don't want you to have to worry about anything. I requested access to your page just to advertise. I can't post on your page. I can't do any of that stuff. I can only advertise. So just accept that. And then they'll go and they'll just accept the request. Very rarely after a successful campaign where I've paid an influencer, do they not want me to run from their page. So I run ads from all sorts of different influencers page, from my company page, but also from my influencers as well. And you can see at the bottom here how to do that. I go business settings, pages, add page, request access. And then all they have to do on their end is just go in and accept. Instead of having to add your business manager and do the whole thing, it's too much work for them. Just make it as easy as possible. So number 7 is launch the campaign. So now you're going to launch this first campaign. We give away these trucks. You can kind of see the ad that I launched with here on the right. It's coming from your brand's page. It needs to be a jaw dropper, like something that's going to catch people's attention with a 5-second hook. Your average watch time on Facebook is under 7 seconds. So you need to have something important in that first 5 seconds to grab attention. I like to spark discussion. So you can see in my ad copy here, it's like, which truck is better? Which one would you choose? And the reason I want to do that is I want a lot of people to comment. I want engagement on the post, whether it's good or bad, I don't care. I just want engagement. And then broad targeting, I target very broad. And I want to bring in as many people into this first campaign as possible, into people who have interacted with this, because I'm going to retarget them later. So I get as much engagement as I can. And then I post this on my page, my personal page. And then I usually have the influencers just share the post. I give them the post to share, and they just share it on their stuff. Step two, now that this is launched and up and running and I've got some budget behind it, this is how I spend my budget. I do 25% at a PPE, which is pay per engagement. And then I do 50% of video views, 25% of the ad spend budget is spent on conversions. So the majority of my budget is being spent on video views because that's all I want in this first campaign. I really just want to get a ton of video views, a ton of engagement, people commenting, and then I want the influencer to share it. Now it's very vital that you share the post ID in between the PPE, video view, and conversions. You want to use the same exact post for all of that. So all the PPE, the comments, the engagement, the video views, they all go onto the same one. You can see here at the bottom right of my engagement, I had over 2.6 million people that it reached in that week. And then I'll move on to the next, after that week, I'll move on to the step 8, which is the second part of my campaign. This first one, usually I kind of break even on my return on ad spend. I don't make a crazy amount of money, but I'm usually positive. I make good money, but that's not the point of this first campaign. The point of this first campaign is create a massive audience to retarget. Second one is I'll have the actual influencer make a video, a raw selfie style video, under 60 seconds. I have them ask a question. I usually have them wearing my product. You can see he's got a hat and shirt, and the truck's in the background. And then I usually I don't tell them what to say word for word because their followers are going to know that if it doesn't sound organic, if it doesn't sound like it's coming from them, their followers will be able to tell. So I usually just tell them, hey, I want you to talk about the giveaway. I want you to talk about the what we're giving away, and then I want you to talk about what they need to buy to win, and then I want you to finish with the giveaway. So something really high to get them excited first, then the negative is that they got to buy something, and then the positive is that they're going to win something again. So I like to keep it under 60 seconds so that I can run it on both Facebook and Instagram. And then I'll ask them for a swipe up video as well, and I'll have them post this on their page. Now, once they post this on their page, now that I have access on their back end, they've given me advertiser access, I'll go in and I will convert this into an ad. Now the conversion objective's up to 50%, the video views down to 25, because now I want conversions, PPEs down to 25. We're sharing the post IDs in between. And now in the ad set level, you can target custom audiences of the 95% video view, the 75%, and the 50% video views. And I make lookalikes of all of those. So these are all people who were interested in the first video that caught their attention. Now you're hitting them with a different ad, retargeting them with an ad of an influencer, somebody that they trust, right? And I do a pretty broad target. And then I usually do the influencer story where they share it. And then if they have over 10,000 followers, you'll have them do a swipe up. Now this step 8 is always really, the second campaign is always profitable, really profitable. But the third campaign that I run, which is on the last week of my giveaway. So this last week of my giveaway, I've got all this data built up from the first 3 weeks of people who are interested, who maybe didn't buy or did buy. And then in the last week, I'll do a blowout campaign. And the reason I do it in the last week is primarily because interest is the highest. People have a fear of loss. It's just psychology. You don't want something until there's some scarcity about it. I mean, you've seen it firsthand with toilet paper this last month. Nobody cared about toilet paper until there wasn't any toilet paper available, and now you're buying all the toilet paper you can like a moron. So it's the same way with giveaways. They once they see that their chance to win is going away, they're more likely to buy. So in this last week, I do a campaign, the same style video with the influencer. I run it from his page, and we do a week campaign, except this time I do another incentive. And remember, I allotted for this at the beginning in my budget for my product and my 300% margin. I have a $5 to spend per order in an additional physical prize. So sometimes we'll give away like a knife in the order, or an extra sticker in the order, or a shirt. If you buy one, you get one free. Or sometimes we give away cash, and we do all sorts of crazy stuff. But I have $5 allotted for every order. So now not only if you buy a shirt, are you getting entered to win a truck, but you're also for sure going to get an iPhone charging cable inside your order for free as a prize. So I'll run this campaign, and then I have the clear end date. You can see in my copy, it's your last chance to win. This ends on Friday, though. Typically, the ads will say this ends on Friday at midnight. And these people that were always on the fence that wanted to buy but weren't quite sure, this will typically push them over the fence. And the people that have already bought something, sometimes they'll purchase again because their chances of winning get higher and higher the more they spend, the more they purchase. And if you have a really good promo at the end, like we added a camper in and we added some cash in the order, it really boosted the sales in the last week. Even people who had already bought were buying again. So then after that's done, you can get, here's how I'll target. This is where all your ROAS is going to come from. It's retargeting. You do a lot of dynamic ads of stuff that they've already seen that they haven't bought maybe. And here's the targeting on the ad set levels. Is the view contact 2, 7, 14, 30 days. The add to cart 2, 7, 14, 30 days. The purchasers 45 days without a purchase in the last 30 days. And then people who have engaged with Insta and Facebook and with a post, but still haven't purchased on the website for whatever reason. And this is the blowout campaign, and we scale it quick. So in the last 4 days of this campaign, we spent 144 grand. We made 797,000 with a 5.5 return on ad spend. So we did a total of $1.3 million in 4 days on this actual campaign that I showed you how I set up. And then on the very last day in specific, we spent $48,000 and we made almost $250,000, 4.8 return on ad spend. So $500,000 in sales in one single day. And we had this truck paid off in the first week, and this is all just profit after there. So that is the giveaway model. That's how it works. And most importantly, if you're going to keep running this, is this step 10, you must show the winners. You must show the people that are winning this stuff. People enter to win these, and when they don't win them, they get upset. They get pissed. And then they're not going to buy from you again because they thought of whatever reason it was a scam or they didn't win. But when they start to see videos and pictures of the person who did one and how it changed their life, and they get to see it all the way down the line, it takes away a little bit of the buyer's remorse that they purchased something they didn't win. But then they also get the instant gratification of knowing that somebody did win, and they can enter again, and maybe that will be them next time. So it's very important that you show the winners if you're going to run this multiple times. And if you do show the winners, you're going to get that repeat customer rate. We have a 56% repeat customer rate, higher than most anybody I know that's not a subscription-based model, just because people know that they can win every month that we run it. So we get a lot of people buying again. So those are the 10 steps. Find the product, establish the giveaway, set up the website, find the correct influencer, set up the deal with the influencer, get access to the page, run the main campaign, influencer campaign, blowout campaign, and then show the winner. And as long as you do those 10 steps, you can run a giveaway model really easy, but you need the influencers for that. You need access to those. You need to run with the influencers, and then show the winners, and that's really it. I appreciate your time. Right here at the bottom is my handles, Facebook, my email if you want to email me personally, whatever, and then my Instagram. Reach out to me if you have any questions. If you have a company and you're wanting to maybe run a giveaway, reach out to me. My agency could probably handle all of it. It's what we do. We set up the legalities. We do everything of it. And yeah, that's all I have for today. I appreciate you guys' time.